Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome everyone to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the art of creating mental health wealth. Today we're going to be talking about that unstoppable power of letting go, something that we all have struggled with at some point in our lives, letting go of the shame and the blame and the guilt and beating ourselves up over choices that we made. Joining me today is my co-host and also our special guest. My co-host is JENETTA Barry. She has created something called the Epiphany Process and World Jenny's Day. She is a co-host here. She is also a dear friend. I reach out to her on a regular basis for various topics. She has been through quite a lot in her life, and she's going to share a little bit about her story with us. Hi, JENETTA.
Hello, Dr. JACALYN. I just so love our spots together. I sound like a stuck record, but I just think we create magic, and I welcome all our viewers and listeners around the world. I'm inspired. We're inspired to have you here today. So the backstory of why I actually sit here and talk regularly, it's been a very difficult one, and it happened after my greatest life test, when one day I was putting in safekeeping house rules for my 16-year-old daughter Jenny, who was not in a good place. She was breaking them. It wasn't safe for her or for us, for that matter. And it escalated into an enormous argument, and she stormed out of my bedroom in an enormous rage, absolutely furious, determined to leave home, pack and leave home, and went off to her bedroom. And after a little while, I sensed something wasn't right, and I went to look for her. And I found her hanging with a broken neck in her shower. So you can imagine my whole life in that moment went down to ground zero, apart from the myriad of conflicting thoughts and feelings I had in that moment that I had to work through afterwards. Absolutely everything else in my life collapsed as well. And I really believed that that was my lot for the rest of my life, that I wouldn't be able to get through it, because it really defined so much of who I was, a failed mother, a failed human, a failed. And how do you get past that? And prophetically, took 9 months to form Jenny inside me. 9 months after she died, I had what I called my crossing over moment, where I was crossing the street. And I remembered that I still had choice. I'd forgotten that I had choice. And then was determined that I would find ways and means to get through and come out the other side and see a bigger picture. And I tried lots of therapies, conventional therapy and alternative therapies, and they were helpful. Don't get me wrong, they were great, but there was always a missing. There was always some aspect that didn't work or worked sometimes. And so I was determined to find something that would work, that was scientifically accurate. And my study and research, finally, at the end of the day, I managed to get myself through, and now have created the Epiphany process with the process I used on myself. And I've helped thousands of people all over the world for the last 14 years with the process, through day-to-day challenges right through to terrorist attack victims. So it's been an incredibly difficult, tough journey, but inspiring at the same time. And I'm living my life purpose because of it. And one of the things that we realized some years after Jen died was that she'd actually died coincidentally on World Mental Health Day. Well, I don't ever believe there's such a thing as coincidences. And so we've now created World Jenny's Day, where we use that day to powerfully and lovingly normalize conversations around depression and suicide through the use of theatre and the arts. And it's had such an impact. It takes my breath away every time I look at it. So what I'd love to share with you now is the timeline of what happened from the time that Jenny died, and I thought the end of my life, and I was running or having a lifetime emotional prison sentence to run, to where we are now and what happened in that timeline. So here we go. Why Jenny's Day? So that natural progression of going through and allowing, which is what we're going to talk about today, is what inspires me the most, is understanding that in that greatest life test, some very natural things and inspiring things have happened in spite of that great loss. And it's with that theme in mind that it's our great pleasure to be introducing you today to Kaye Parker. And Kaye is one amazing lady. She's from Canada, Lake Ontario in Canada. She's a TV personality, a mama. She's also lost a little bubba as well, and has, I think it's 3 children. And she has 150,000 followers on TikTok at Kaye Parker Official. Have a look there. Her ability to bring out people naturally just inspires me. And what I love so much about Kaye is I deal with a lot of teenagers and early adults, young adults, even people into their 30s and late 30s who really battle with social media and what people think about them and feel about them. And Kaye is one of those people that sits naturally in front of a camera and inspires you because she is just herself. So without much more ado, I would like to invite you to Kaye Parker and welcome Kaye to our show today.
Hi, Kaye. Welcome.
I'm like, I did my makeup, and now I was like, with JENETTA's story, I was like, oh my goodness, this was not the day to wear eyeliner and mascara. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Every time I watch and do the show with JENETTA, it's still, I think to myself, I don't know how you do it, JENETTA. But so important.
It's an interesting thing. Initially, when I started stepping into all of this, it was tough, and also my eyeliner would stream everywhere. And although there's still a tug on my heartstrings every time I look at it, there's a sense of purpose and a sense of these are creating conversations. It's like Jenny and I are on a mission that would have been impossible if she'd stayed on the planet, and that inspires me at the same time. So it's like a mixture of balancing. It's an amazing journey. So Kaye, I would love you to share your journey, because I know that so much of your background comes from theatre and the arts as well. Would you like to share a bit of your background so we understand where you were and where you've got to today?
Yeah, so as a child, I was always involved in the arts. I absolutely loved the arts. My dream was to be a triple threat. And so I worked very hard at dance and musical theater and singing and playing instruments. And when I found my voice, I remember being at 16 and I knew all the right people. And I was like, I'm dropping out of school. I'm going to be a full-time singer. And I always had these big ambitions and these big dreams and big goals, but it was my mental health that always stood in the way. And I am adopted. So that kind of played a huge role into my inner thoughts and my inner voice. When I was told I was adopted, I always felt that I was unwanted. I had this big need to always please everybody. I'm still working on it. I'm a lot better now, but I was always very much a people pleaser, and I always wanted to make everybody happy. I wanted to fit in. I strived to just belong. And once my high school phase entered, I just followed the long suit. My parents told me and how I was raised, very Christian Catholic household. So, you know, I was told to go to school, get engaged, have a baby, like, and just take the normal steps, get that 9 to 5. And that's what I did for a very long time. And I am a mother of 3, and I did lose my son, Jack, 3 years ago. And that was kind of the moment that everything changed for me. So when when I was pregnant with him, I heard his heartbeat. It was the most amazing day. And 3 days later, I went for another ultrasound because I'm a high risk when I'm pregnant. And his heart rate, like his heartbeat was gone. And I remember I was like, it's been only 3 days. How can a heartbeat just stop in 3 days? And the worst part was that the technician didn't say anything. She just shut off the monitor. And as a mother to 3 previously, I knew that something was wrong. And she told me to go directly to my doctor. And when I went to my doctor's office, there was so many people in the waiting room. Every single chair was full. And my doctor is always running behind. I love her, but she's always late. And so I knew this was going to be waiting for hours. And I went right up to the desk, and I was so angry. And I feel bad to this day that I projected so much onto them. But I just was like, I'm not waiting around here for you to tell me my child died. They let me in the back, and I blacked out. The only thing I remember hearing from my doctor was that I received divine mercy. And I had so much up and down through that journey. The thing that people don't tell you is a process of a miscarriage. Normally they just say, I'm sorry, your child's no longer with us. You've had a miscarriage. But I didn't know all the steps. I didn't know the emotional turmoil I would go through. I chose to do a natural route. So I chose to hold on to my baby and not go in for surgery. And I wanted my body to naturally let him go. And I didn't realize for that entire duration of waiting is that every second I was waiting for my water to break. And I still looked visibly pregnant. So people would still congratulate me as I was going about my day. People would be like, oh my goodness, they're going to be so lucky to have another brother and sister. And they would talk to my children about this baby that wasn't coming. And so that was really hard on my emotions. And then the fact that when you're told that the heartbeat is no longer there, that doesn't mean that 100% is a confirmed miscarriage. You have to go for blood work. And in my case, when I went for the blood work, my levels were still rising. So they couldn't determine if the technician was right. So I had this sense of hope that I was like, oh, and I started Googling. I'm like, okay, what's the average of like the technicians could be wrong? And I was fighting myself for a while until finally on Boxing Day, I was told that the levels are dropping, and the ultrasound did confirm that he didn't grow. So at that point, and going through that during Christmas was not ideal. And the birthing experience, I always wanted a water birth. I always wanted an at-home birth. And it's funny that the universe gave me exactly that, just not in the way that I anticipated.
Wow, that's unbelievable. I can't even imagine. I was in my mind imagining what you were going through, and sorry that you go through that.
I think congratulations too for being able to step forward and share that story so with such an open heart, because you have the capacity to help so many people. And one of the things that people who don't realize in losing a child, it doesn't matter whether you're 6 weeks pregnant, 6 months pregnant, or the child is born, or the child is 2 seconds old, or 16, or however old, there's something within one's mothering instinct that just has to deal with the loss in whatever way it's been lost. The loss is the loss. And you being able to share that story the way you have has the capacity for people in the same boat to go, wow, she really gets me. And it's so nice to hear somebody else's story. What would you say, what did you do to get through it and be to where you are today in that loss? What were your coping mechanisms?
Oh, where to begin? I tried so many things. I remember at first it was just to physically be better. I bled for, I think, like 6 months. And I was very ill. I looked gray. I had no energy. I was very, very sick. So the first priority was just, okay, let's get physically better. I ended up having to go to surgery after because there was leftover, my body didn't kind of let go of whatever olive, I guess. I don't know how to say that in a appropriate way, but there was just some leftover things that needed to be out. And so I had to get a nice clean out, and that helped me physically. I also went through a lot of IV treatments. I got iron transfused, IV'd in me as well, just to kind of get me back up and going because I was anemic at that point. I remember sleeping with Jack for days, and I couldn't let him go. And at that moment, he was in this little like treasure chest that my nephew bought, and I would sleep with that treasure chest. And I was like, how I always suffered from mental health. So I needed to make sure that this wouldn't be something that would cause me to go in like a primal crisis mode. So my goal was, what can I do to make sure that I don't do something that I regret? So my son and I, we wrote a story based about miscarriage on the eyes of a child. So he actually wrote a story with me. So I had that. I buried my son and planted a willow tree in my front lawn. So, and I made like a beautiful burial site. I bought a statue of a little boy holding a jar with a firefly. I made sure I journaled everything, all of my thoughts. And I am very public. I've always been very public. It's just, I think that might have to do with me being adopted, but I always kind of want to share my thoughts, my feelings, and my perspective, just because you never know who might need to hear it too. And when I created the blogs and started posting everything, the amount of women that reached out to me who were going through the same thing in silence was just mind-boggling. Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot I have a home phone here. So sorry.
Don't worry about it. We do have a comment from someone who's over on YouTube, Matt P. She's so inspiring. Thank you,
Oh my
Matt.
gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Matt, for watching. So, Kaye, you have this unbelievable life experience, and you shared that you already had struggled with mental health issues, and now you're a mental health advocate with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people following you. So what is it? What is the messaging that you're communicating to your followers? How do you continue to inspire them over and over again and keep growing your community?
The biggest thing for me is that I want to showcase authenticity. I like to laugh. I love to be funny. And some of my TikToks are is making light of trauma. And it's just showcasing to people. It's like, yeah, you can make mistakes. Own your mistakes. Be authentically you. There are times like last week where I was working so much the week prior that I just wanted to lay on the couch and binge watch shows and eat all the junk food. And that's okay. And then there's times where I go manic into work mode and I don't sleep for a couple of days. And that's okay. And healing isn't linear. And that's okay. And I think going through, again, when we were talking about coping mechanisms, when I go live on my TikTok, I do like mindful mornings with Kaye, where I do emotion regulation, distress tolerance. I read live readings of Brene Brown's books, and I have this community. I meditate with them, and we do affirmations together, and we have an open discussion about mental health. And I think the reason why mental health is so prominent in society is because although we have mental health days where we're like, let's talk about it, do we really talk about it? Are we really able to accept a person at their lowest? I think it's very easy for people to say, yeah, I'll be there for you thick and thin. I'll be there for you for better or for worse. But it's all about boundaries. It's all about balance. And it's a lot about understanding. And when I was hearing your story, JENETTA, that's exactly what I want to talk about. Is I could only imagine going through that journey and the shame and blame that you put on yourself. Because that's what I did when I lost my son. It's why wasn't I failed as a mother? I couldn't create a child. What did I do wrong? And sometimes you look for questions and you can't find those answers. And that's a part of the acceptance and letting go. So when I'm creating that platform for my following, I just really want people to understand that what they're feeling and what they're thinking is okay. You're not your thoughts. You're not your emotion. They are fleeting. They come and they go, ebb and flow. And it's all about just understanding your emotions. Emotion regulation has been huge for my mental health. I had to understand the primary adaptive emotions in order for me to understand how to, I guess, resolve them and understand them and move forward from them. A lot of the times people think that they actually are healing their secondary emotion and they're not, and the primary emotion still untouched. And I'm trying to encourage people to really get in touch and have that emotional vulnerability and be empathetic towards others and create an environment where you can showcase your vulnerability, because that's where success will lie.
Thank you
I
for
hear
sharing that.
I hear two things when you talk like this, and the one is very close to my heart, is what I call allowing and wallowing. And definitely when it comes to general mental health issues, but especially grieving mental health issues, when, as you say, you allow yourself to be whatever you need to be in that moment, and that it's actually okay, and as the judgment comes up, oh well, I shouldn't be rushing around for 3 days without sleep, or I shouldn't be wallowing on my bed, I shouldn't be doing any of that, I ought to, I must to, I've got to, and all those judgment statements often push us to do even more of the stuff that we perceive aren't good for us. So I always talk about allow yourself that space and understand its value and what it's giving you. And when you get to that point of clicking over, where I say you're going into wallowing, where you're going into poor me and my lot is awful, and then you know that the allowing is over. And it's time to move into the next phase. And I loved you talking about the linear side. It isn't linear, it's cyclical. Our whole life is cycles. So you get cycles and waves and ebbs and flows. And when you understand that any part of that cycle isn't more superior or lesser, then it's more manageable. And I just think that message that you're giving out there is so powerful. And as Dr. JACALYN said, thank you for sharing it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really interesting. I always talk about validation statements and how important they are. And your inner thoughts, your brain is like a computer. So what people and what you tell yourself and the words that you speak out of your mouth, that is what you think. And changing your narrative and changing your mindset is a huge part of growth and letting go and allowing yourself to feel the feelings. So I will start off my day with like, I am okay doing this because of this. I am validating myself, or I did this because of this. And I thought this way because of this. And your body is 80% water. Water holds memory. Your body holds trauma. And it's so important to, when you said cyclical, it is, everything in your body is connected. And I know when I was going through my healing process, which is never ending, which everybody needs to know, is that healing and growth never stops. And I had to really take a step back and understand that in order to create happiness, you have to have these 4 chemicals in your body. And I call it DOSE. So dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And all of those play such a vital role. And there's so many hacks that you can use to allow yourself to feel those feelings. A simple one is just like your healthy gut. And 90% of serotonin comes from having a healthy gut. So by drinking that water and eating healthy foods, that alone will create such a high level of happiness. Getting outside, exercise. So it's funny because when doctors are like, hey, why don't you go take a walk or go outside in the sun, have healthy foods. It sounds so simple, but that is the basics of how I would start in healing.
That is fantastic. I have a follow-up question for you and also for JENETTA. So for our audience, and they're trying to even understand if they've never been in this position, what it's like to lose a child. I don't have any children, so I can't even imagine. People go through things all the time that are maybe not to the level of what you both have gone through, but they still need to have skills. They still need to be able to look at the situation that they're in and be able to not beat themselves up, not use negative talk, etc. So my question is, you shared that sometimes you're going for 3 days and you're not getting any sleep. And I know for me, I go. I'm in my masculine energy. And many times I'll just take whatever it is that's come up and I say, you know what? I'm going to put you over here. You're over here. I'm going to stuff you down. I'm going to put you away because I got to keep going. So what are your thoughts for people out there across the world who are doing a similar thing? Is this a good practice? Is it okay to put it away for a little while, then come back and pick it up? Or should you deal with it right then?
I, for myself, think of it like a soda can. It's unopened and you keep shaking it. You shake it and you shake it and you shake it, but you don't open it. Eventually, once you open it, it's going to explode. It's going to come out and then you're going to get more, those feelings, you're going to be flooded. You're going to be more stressed out. And it's funny because like I said, I still have moments where I find myself as an entrepreneur, as a single mom, and I'm doing so many things that also is associated to why when my body is telling me that I just need to put things on hold and take that time to just lay on a couch and read or watch TV or do mindless numbing activities, that I have to allow myself and tell myself that that is okay. Because previously I was so busy that it's all about that balance. I do have, not here with me, but I made a Bristol board for myself. And I always joke that I'm like a child, but it has like a checklist of things that I need to do every day. So it'd be meditation, affirmation, going live for my followers, eating, drinking water, studying a Brene Brown book for 20 minutes. And I give myself stickers every time I do it. And if I don't complete everything in that day, I have to ask myself, was there something that I could have changed differently to alter that day? Is there something that I needed to better time management? And then I kind of was thinking back to life and how things just happen. And it's all about adapting and giving yourself grace. And that's kind of how I go about it still. I try to time management as much as possible. Boundaries are a huge thing for me. I've learned to say no to a lot of things that normally I would say yes to everything. And now I'm getting to a point where I'm saying no. And that's a huge thing for me.
Congratulations. That is That's seriously important. A couple of things I just want to touch on, and then JENETTA, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that. I spoke with someone the other day about an opportunity. The person agreed to meet with me, and I thought for sure this person was going to yes, and the person said no, and they gave the reasons for no, and I actually have a lot of respect, because when someone says no, first of all, it's an opportunity to move on to the next one, because somewhere there's going to be a fit. But also when the person shared their reasons, it didn't matter what I thought anyway, but I really respected the person for having the ability to say no, because many people won't. They'll make excuses, they'll dodge you, they'll hem and haw. And meanwhile, if you're just up front and stick to your ground, then that's something to be proud of, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
JENETTA, I want to go over to you about the stuffing and putting things off. What are your thoughts, and what do you think about what Kaye shared?
Well, first of all, with you saying one can't even imagine having lost a child when one hasn't, and there are a lot of people there who don't have children. And what I've observed over the years, to help any of our viewers and listeners who are childless, is that first of all, we all have children in different form. We may not give birth to children, but there's a part of us that it gives out a parenting energy, be it an animal or a friend or a friend's child or whatever it is. There's always that parenting energy in all of us, and we give it out in some form, in some way, in some time during our lives. May not be all the time, but it's there. And so there is a form of loss and grieving when that starts and ends, or rather that ends. So for those who are going, well, I haven't lost a child, but I lost my kitty cat and it was the end of my world, or my best friend's daughter passed, and it felt like my daughter had passed, but there'll always be something that there's a sense of loss. So to just encompass and embrace everybody here today, there is a parenting loss at some time in our lives. And so that to me is really very, very important. And then, in terms of being able to soften the conversations, you hear me a lot, Dr. JACALYN, talking about normalizing and softening conversations. So it's not just around depression and suicide. It's about every aspect and level of who we are. And when we can find ways to understand the value of that which we judged in ourselves, and see how very important all aspects of ourselves are, that if we didn't have the things that we judged in us, there'd be a huge gap in missing, that they serve, then suddenly you start softening towards yourself and being more and more gentle as you understand that saying no to somebody, by way of example, we've given that as one example of many. By saying no to somebody, what does it allow you to be and to become that would be missing if you said yes? And just as importantly, and you hit it on the head, Dr. J, by saying, what's it giving that person by saying no, that if you said yes, they would lose out on? And when you start doing that list of where it has equal amount of gain to loss, it's heart opening. I watch people when I work this through with them going, oh my word, I wouldn't say anything but no if it's no. It just feels so natural and spontaneous to say no. I don't feel guilt-ridden. I don't feel like I should and I must and I ought to. All those judgment words just peel away as you step into the truth and the light, and that person receives it from that place as well, feeling as you did, feeling, okay, well, okay, ouch, and then, oh, okay, yes, this gives a better perspective. So when you can soften and normalize those conversations that we all hold inside us, me to this day, I call it my mental, emotional daily gym, where I hear myself say, I go, really? Okay, so let's look at this and soften that and bring this out. And what are the gains to that, and what are the losses? And oh my word, it's just perfect in its imperfection. And it's imperfect in its perfection. And when you can get to that heart-opening place on a conscious and an unconscious level, magic happens. It's amazing.
I love the fact that you compared it to a gym, to a that makes a lot of sense. I can get that visual. So, Kay, as we come to the last part of our show, one thing I'd love for you to touch on, because people are always in awe and enamored about, oh, how do you get so many followers, and what's TikTok, and do I have to be in the garage singing around like so can you share a little bit about that journey, and what does it take to actually to be a leader of people you haven't met, that you may never met, that are all looking to you for inspiration?
It's so funny because when people talk about TikTok, I'm like, oh, TikTok. It changed my life completely. And that was the funniest thing is I downloaded the app before it became popular. Like I got it right in the beginning. And I just always loved mimicking sounds and just having fun with it. And in the beginning, I did it with my kids and they were all babies and we would like do Baby Shark together. And in the early stages of my TikTok, it was just me having fun with my kids or me making fun of sounds. And I got a big following for that right away. And then when I hit 60,000, I just was showcasing my authentic self. And just, I really do a lot of humor. Some people don't like the humor. That's okay. But what TikTok loves is consistency. And they just want you on their app as much as possible. And I try to engage and I try to have fun. And the whole point is just to show people that enjoy life, play, see life like a child does. And I think when you age, you lose the sense of play and you lose just having fun. And because I'm so open, you can see from the start of my TikTok till now how much it has changed and developed and progressed. And because of my following that I got, which was a total fluke from the beginning, it was that moment where I had people reach out to me that were like, hey, like you have something here. People are drawn to you. And then once I had that platform, I realized that it was my responsibility to create something that would be useful for the world. So then I had to really think about my why and my purpose. And when I created Trials and Tribulations, which is my podcast that I have, that's because of my TikTok following and people finding me there that helped me brainstorm ideas. And when I was able to create Trials and Tribulations, that was like my therapy for the week. That is a huge reason on how I grow and develop to who I am today and will continue to grow and develop into my future self. And it's allowing other people to come into your life, creating that open space and sharing their story and listening and taking something from their pain and their traumas and learning about other people and the way they heal will actually help you and open your eyes. And it will showcase like the vulnerability, the privilege, every aspect of your life you start to really look at with a thick lens. So if you want to be a TikToker or if you're interested in social media, my biggest thing is be yourself. People can see right through your energy and people will know right away if you're not being authentic. So find a niche, be consistent with it, and be authentic, and success will follow.
I love that. Great direction. We've had another woman on this platform on a different show, The Power of Etiquette and Manners, and she's also a TikToker. She teaches how to short bite-sized clips about etiquette and manners in your normal course of your day. And she shared a similar story. And the reason I bring it up is because when you get into that position where you are an influencer, there does come responsibility with that because people are looking to you. And so if you show up and you're fake, people are going to lose respect and they're going to go by the wayside. And as a woman, especially when it comes to mental health, I really admire and appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. In fact, one last question I'd like to ask you is, where have your creative skills in theatre and the arts helped you with your mental health journey? Because so many people who label themselves as not artistic, which is actually not true, because we're all created by the creator, which means we have creativity within us. They've just turned down the volume. So those people often can't see the value of stepping into their creative genius. Where would you say your creative genius has helped you? What skills has it given you to help you through your mental health journey?
I remember when I was in high school, I had my drama teacher, and she would give me these scripts, and you would learn all these different styles and characters. And in order to be successful in musical theater and drama, or in any type of the arts, you have to really submerge yourself into the character that you're supposed to be. And that actually showcased empathy in a way, which is really funny to say out loud. But when you are being somebody that doesn't exist, you really have to put yourself in their shoes. If I was playing, so as a teenager, if I was playing a mother who lost a child, how would a 15, 14, 16-year-old, although there are some that have gotten pregnant and have lost a child at that age, but generally speaking, how would I know what that would feel like if I've never experienced it? So you would really have to dig deep and learn about a topic and think about other women. So my mother had many miscarriages. So if I were to be a character who had suffered that loss, I would think about my mother and I would ask her about her experiences and what she's gone through, what she thought. And then I would use that for myself. And then I would be able to demonstrate that. And the feedback that you would get, again, a lot of the times it's all about energy and understanding and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And when you open yourself up to different experiences and different characters, that was kind of like the premise of empathy for me.
Yeah, that's great. And that's the whole thing, is that the more you can step into your unique genius, whatever it is that you love creating, and you may think you're lousy at it, but you kind of like the idea of it, the more it enables you to express yourself with that authenticity that you talk about. And I'm so looking forward to chatting some more with you about World Jenny's Day and what we're creating this year. It's being presented on this platform at USA Global TV on the 10th of October. So we've got some conversations ahead of us. I'm so looking forward to.
Yes, I am too. Kaye, it's been fabulous having you here today.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm going to spotlight you. We've had your banner up during the show, but for people who are listening on the radio or people who are not able to read the banner, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? And who would you like to reach out to you?
Thank you so much. Yes, you can follow me at Linktree/Kaye Parker Official. That has a little bit of everything of what I am doing. You can also reach me on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, at Kaye Parker Official. I do have www.kayeparkerofficial.com that I officially purchased. It's in the mix of being built, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, thank you so much for all the comments and the support for this platform and being open to listening to topics that are not really talked about. And you can reach me at kayeparkerofficial@gmail.com. I'm always available at any capacity if you guys want to reach out just to share your story, or if you have some questions, or if you want to collaborate together. I would love to hear from you. And I mentioned it a few times. Brene Brown has been an absolute lifesaver for me. And I just recommend everybody listen to her and get her books. I purchased every single book of hers, and I study her 20 minutes a day. And she is a huge reason as to why I am and where I am today.
I love that. Thank you. I always love when we promote other people as well, right? Because that's how it happens. We didn't get
Yes.
to where we are by ourselves. So thank you for doing that. I just want to share also that we have a number of other shows. I think you'd be a great guest to be on as well for other audiences. So I'll be reaching out to you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it was such a pleasure speaking with both of you today. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. The
An
pleasure was ours.
honor
Keep doing
and
what you're doing.
yeah, an absolute honor and privilege too. So
Thank
We
you.
will both be reaching out to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much, Janetta. We are going to wrap up, but before we do, I would love for you to share how people can get involved with World Jenny's Day, and what do you think that is going to look like on that specific day here on the platform?
thank you. Yeah, in terms of getting hold of us, the website is World Jenny's Day. So that's Jenny, JENNYS, worldjennysday.com. And there's plenty of opportunity. The moment you reach out on that site, you'll get hold of me immediately. So it's very easy to get hold of me and us as a team. And every year we use theatre and the arts in a different way, with a different approach. And this year we're looking at a 24-hour, almost like a marathon. We did similar on the radio app Clubhouse last year. And we're going to structure it a little bit differently. So if you'd be inspired to help with that, or find out more how you can be part of that and be in it and go with it with us, then reach out. And basically we are going to be talking openly like we have today, using theatre and the arts, not just chat sessions. They're hugely helpful. Today, I can guarantee that someone somewhere will have gone, oh wow, that's made such a difference to me. So it's not about that the chatting side is not effective, because it's very vital and it has its place. World Jenny's Day is about doing the same, using the skills and techniques of theatre and the arts, which brings it to that much little bit more to life. And that's what we're looking to do this World Jenny's Day, 10th of October.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Janetta. It's always a pleasure sharing this stage with you. And I look forward to next week. And of course, we'll be chatting backstage anyway. So
yes, love you lots.
Love you too. All right. I'll see you shortly. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. If you're joining us for the first time, I just want to give you a little bit of background. We have between 20 and 25 live broadcasts every week. We're always bringing on new people to join us. We've got 4 teams. We've got co-hosts. We've got expert presenters on talking heads. We've got our elevated listeners, and we have our panelists. So please do continue to watch. Let people know we have a global platform, people from all over the world. Okay, a couple of other announcements that I just want to share. Let me find my graphics. First of all, my new book is coming out. This is my second book. It's called Adversity to Awesome: True Life Stories of Inspiration from Survivors of Imprisonment, Addiction, Sexual Assault, and More. And I'm happy to announce that this is not the final book cover. You won't get to see it until our actual book launch event, which is May the 4th. So we will be live streaming. So please do join us. You can find out more information on our website, USA Global TV. And we also have our reunion show that is sold out. I'm happy to announce this will be Sunday this week coming, 6 hours of live streaming. And our guests are people who are going to be promoting their work. So this is not about interviews. It's about 15 minutes of promoting what it is that you do. So please do join us for that. And then finally, for those who are not aware, I also am a certified life and career coach, certified meditation teacher, and certified yoga instructor. And I'm the listening mentor. I teach teach people how to listen. If you're interested in taking your listening skills to an elevated level, please go over to my other website, drjacalyn.com, and find out more about how you can be a better listener so that you have deeper connections, better relationships, and more authentic conversations. All right, we're signing off for now. We'll be coming back shortly with the United Kingdom news and culture. And of course, we will be featuring our 3 expert correspondents. 2 are from London, the other from Scotland. So please do tune in for that wherever it is that you're joining us from. Thanks so much. We'll be back shortly.